it is time to turn this over to the announcement of prizes, which is like one of the great pleasures of AWSS reception every year, to celebrate the excellent work being done in our field. And it is my pleasure to turn to give the floor to Siobhan Hearn, who will read the citation for the Undergraduate Essay Prize, though unfortunately this year's winner can't be with us.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Great. I've lost my citation, there it is. So I'm really delighted to announce the first ever undergraduate prize. And this goes to Frankie Tully from the University of Bristol for her wonderful essay entitled "The Performative Power of Discourse: What Role Does State-Released Visual Culture Play in the Construction of Putin's Masculinity?" Myself and the other prize committee members were really impressed with this essay, so now I'll read the citation. This outstanding essay masterfully traces representations of Putin's masculinity through the medium of state-issued photographs. Tully's work is firmly grounded in scholarly literature on masculinities and Russian visual culture, but her close analysis of her source space pushes scholarship forward. The essay offers a panoramic view of representations of Putin's masculinity as militarized, sexualized, paternal, and imbued with religious significance, whilst also drawing important comparisons with other historical figures and geographical contexts. This most impressive piece of scholarship, and we're all looking forward to seeing this work in print, because it will be published in an undergraduate journal, I think, at the end of the year. So unfortunately, Frankie can't be with us, but huge congratulations, and please do consider submitting your students' work for this prize next year.
Thank you, Siobhan. So congratulations to Frankie. Let me just note that the winner, the prize for the Undergraduate Essay Prize is a student membership for 1 year to AWSS. Let me turn it over to Betsy Hemingway, who will be announcing the Graduate Essay Prize.
Okay, thanks, Paula. So we have, actually, I have to say, first of all, thank you to Emily Shookman-Matthews and Ann Eakin-Moss, who were the other two committee members this year. We had a very competitive pool of essays to read over, and we had to go through a few rounds, actually, of reading and discussion because it was a difficult decision to make. But we ended up selecting Marta Alexandra Zbaralska, who is a PhD candidate. I believe she finished this year in the history of art at the University College London. The title of the chapter was "The Matter of Chatter." So here's the citation. Marta Alexandra Zbaralska's lively and stimulating dissertation chapter, "The Matter of Chatter," from her recently defended dissertation, "The Art of Being Together," inside the studio of Henryk Stajewski and Edward Krasinski, focuses on Krasinski's fragmentary and almost juvenile short poetry. Making an original argument for the interdependence of artistic production through dialogue and exchange, Zbaralska productively situates Krasinski's poetry at the border between linguistic and visual art, and offers a nuanced picture of the embodied experience of gender in his poetry. This study carries important implications as much for Eastern European art history as for the history of conceptualism across national boundaries, the workings of gender in conceptualist art, and theories of signification and dialogue. So congratulations to Marta. And I think she is here.
Yes.
Great, congratulations.
Marta,
I'm
here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to say how grateful I am to the association and to Professors Hemingway and Eakin-Moss and Shookman-Matthews for reading my work and responding to it so positively. I am an early career scholar and I am precariously employed, and this has given me a huge confidence boost. So I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that. It's really amazing. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Camila, who I saw present a paper at the College Art Association conference in 2018, and I thought it was really amazing. So I'm so glad that, yeah, her work was recognized as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Marta. Yes, so our honorable mention is Kamila Kacielkowska, who also is in art history at the University of Cambridge for her dissertation chapter, Early Avant-Garde Book Design and Imperial Censorship. And we were actually just talking in the breakout room. Camilla and I happen to be in the same room, and Greta's daughter is at Mount Holyoke studying art history. And we got into suprematism and Moscalevich, and it was actually, the topic of this chapter. So congratulations to Camila as well.
Camila, would you like to say anything?
Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'd just love to echo what Marta just said, which is really, thank you so much for everyone, well, for Betsy and the other committee members taking the time to read the chapter. And as Marta said, it really is such a huge confidence boost as an early career scholar, to have that recognition, and I really value it. So thank you so much. And yeah, I really appreciate everything that association is doing.
Great. Well, it was excellent work, both of you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to read.
Okay, thank you, Betsy, and congratulations to Marta and Camilla. And the art historians are really rocking the house, and we've got more coming. But next we're going to turn to Sharon Kowalski, who will present the Graduate Research Prize. The winner was here, but she unfortunately had to leave. But Sharon, can you please read the citation?
That's too bad. I saw her earlier, and I was looking forward to actually virtually congratulating her. But first of all, the submissions for this grant this year were excellent. And as Paula mentioned, this is going to be the Herlihy Graduate Research Prize next year. And so please encourage your students who are at their early stages, right, when they're about to go and do their research, to please apply for this. We look forward to having them. So it's my pleasure to announce the winner of this year's Graduate Research Prize, Ivana Polic, PhD candidate in history at the University of California, San Diego. The committee is pleased to give the award to Ivana, whose dissertation research focuses on children and childhood in the contested construction of Croatian national identity in post-conflict former Yugoslavia. Exploring the mobilization and indoctrination of children during and after the Yugoslav wars, Ms. Polic seeks to engage in an interdisciplinary exploration of the ways that state leaders sought to create ethnically exclusive models of future nationalist patriots. The AWSS funding will support the final phase of her field research as she prepares to complete her dissertation in the spring of 2021. So congratulations to Ivana.
Thank you, Sharon, and our congratulations to Ivana, even though she couldn't stay here to hear that. Next up is the Mary Zarin Prize, which is going to be presented by Eva Glisic, who did not chair this committee, but served on it. Unfortunately, the chair of the committee couldn't join us, and she takes us back to the art historians. Eva?
That's right. Thank you, Paula. Very strong representation by art historians. So I'm very honored to be presenting the Mary Zarin Prize this year. And the prize committee included Ellen Elias Bursach, who was our chair, and included Laura Schlossberg, Jelena Kalinski, and me. This was a very competitive round. We were very excited to read fantastic scholarship from our colleagues from really around the world. And we are proud to award the 2020 Mary Zarin Prize to Magdalena Moscalevich. And I will read the citation. An art historian, Magdalena Moscalevich examines the unique character of socialist artistic modernity as was developed in the immediate post-war decades of the former Soviet bloc and the former Yugoslavia, with a particular focus on Poland. Her PhD research examined experiments with painting in Poland in the aftermath of the post-Stalinist thaw. She has published on experimental practices generated outside of the official art system. This includes abstract painting, op and kinetic art, conceptualism, and politically motivated neo-avant-gardes, including their connection to the international network of Fluxus, as well as on the international circulation of Polish modern art during the Cold War. More recently, she has turned her attention to state-sponsored art, such as socialist realism, and we were quite impressed by her focus on that other side of artistic production. She has served as an A.W. Mellon postdoctoral fellow at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And since 2016, she has been teaching as a lecturer on short-term contracts at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. She's currently working on a book that's entitled Non-Painting, Studies in Socialist Modernism in Poland between 1955 and 1970. And she has also contributed a chapter to the Oxford Handbook of Communist Visual Cultures. Magdalena also curates projects focused on contemporary moment, examining the post-communist condition through a post-colonial lens. Her most acclaimed exhibition to date was the Polish Pavilion at 26th Venice Biennale in 2015 with Halka Haiti. The project involved staging of the Polish national opera Halka in Kacale, a Haitian village inhabited by descendants of Polish soldiers who fought for Haitian independence in 1803. Halka Haiti probed the relevance of the 19th century artistic forms for the representation of national identities in a complex post-colonial context. She explores those issues in the accompanying book, which won the 2017 John Goldman Book Prize. Another exhibition and a book project is entitled The Travelers, Voyage and Migration in New Art from Central and Eastern Europe, which was published in Warsaw and Tallinn. And this work problematized migration, displacement, and accelerated global mobility in relation to identity formation through works by contemporary artists, migrants. We, the Zarin judges, feel that the wide range of Magdalena's interests, the depth of her research, her innovative approach to her subjects, her commitment to sustain independent scholarship, and through her shows and in her writing, her focus on women artists, all abundantly qualify her to receive the 2020 Mary Zarin Prize. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored, and I really mean it when I say it. As a person with one leg in academia and one leg in the art world, I never really feel exactly at home at either. So this recognition really means a lot, especially that it's an interdisciplinary body dedicated to women. And also on the personal end of things, I had a baby girl less than 2 years ago, and things haven't been the easiest since then. So this really also helps me for you know, the professional morale generally. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Magdalena. That's so awesome. And we're now going to turn to Siobhan, back to Siobhan, who will present the Health Prize for Best Article in Slavic, East European, Eurasian Women's Studies.
Yes, we had an absolutely fantastic round of submissions this year. We were really spoiled for choice. But I'm going to announce the winner now. We're going to return to our art history takeover because our winner is Alison Lee with her article Ryepin in Paris, Mediating French Modernism, published in Slavic Review in 2019. And you can see the full citation for her article on the slide, but I'm going to read the citation that the committee put together. So this outstanding article provides a vital re-examination of the relationship between Russian artists and European artistic centres in the second half of the 19th century. Conceptually ambitious and beautifully written, Alison Lee's exploration of the production and reception of Ryepin's A Parisian Café from 1875 makes a significant contribution to Russian and European art history, scholarship on the development of Russian national identity and cultural histories of gender and sexuality. Lee's combination of sophisticated visual analysis and meticulous reading of Ryepin's personal correspondence offers a highly original and compelling take on Russia's unique confrontation with modernity. This is a most wonderful article. I'm so happy to present this to Alison. Alison, if you're on the call, sorry I can't see you. If you'd like to say a few words, you have the floor for a minute.
I am here, and
Yay!
I just want to thank, everyone who served on the committee that awarded this. I'll say too, it came at such a moment when I needed the boost, and we produced this research and scholarship in so much isolation so much of the time, and this was definitely an article that was a labor of love. I submitted it sort of right out of graduate school to a big art history journal and got denied, and rewrote it entirely, submitted to some friends in Slavic, presented it at conferences, rewrote it again. I mean, this was such a labor of love that became the thing that you just praised so highly. And I really am proud of it as a piece of scholarship, after the years that it went through to become what it was. So I just could not be more grateful to all of you for the praise and for the award. So thank you.
Huge congratulations, Alison. I'd also like to read our honourable mention as well. As I said, the competition was especially tough this year. We had fantastic submissions, and our honourable mention this year goes to Christine Varga Harris for her wonderful article, Between National Tradition and Western Modernisation, Soviet Women and Representations of Socialist Gender Equality as a Third Way for Developing Countries from 1956-1964. Also Slavic Review, they're really clearing up this year. And I'd like to just quickly read the citation for Christine's article. Through a careful reading of the magazine Soviet Woman, Christine Varga Harris sheds light on a neglected part of the history of women's activism and socialist internationalism. The article expertly traces the motif of global sisterhood present in depictions of and publications penned by Soviet women living in non-European republics. In doing so, Varga Harris persuasively argues that the magazine presented Soviet socialism as a third way between traditional patriarchal modes and Western conceptions of gender equality, as well as an alternative method for transition away from colonization while retaining diverse national cultures. So, Christine, are you on the call? If you are, you're very welcome to say a few words. I can't see you. If you are there.
I just had to unmute.
Oh,
I should be more used to this. Thank you very much. Like everyone else, I just want to thank the committee, in this case, the Held Prize Committee. I am so honored. I was so excited about this. As Alison mentioned, it takes so long to get to the point where you produce something that you're really happy with. And again, I really appreciate the honor. I also appreciate the AWSS in general, and all the committees, just keeping this running, putting together this gathering in these strange circumstances. And it's not just because of the year it's been, but this really was the highlight of my year. So thank you all. Thank you.
Huge congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. I'm now going to turn to Melissa Bakovoy and ask her to make the presentation for the two remaining Held Prizes, starting with the Held Prize for Best Book in Slavic, East European and Eurasian Women's and Gender Studies.
Great. First, I really need to thank my committee, Annika Velka, who's not here, and I don't see Maria Popova. They have served for 2 years. And in extraordinary circumstances, getting books to everybody. We were pretty much on time. When I looked at the time, we delayed submissions for about a month. And so I really appreciate their work. And then Katja Jordan joined us this year. And we're hoping, the way the Held Prize works is that we often serve for 2 years. The incoming the president-elect or the VP will be the chair of the committee. However, we're always looking for people to serve on this committee. We try very hard to get a cross section of both region as well as discipline. So you might be getting an email from the incoming, whoever that might be, the new VP. Anyways, but I can't thank them enough for the hard work that they did. Well, it is my honor to award this prize to Olga Peters-Hasty for her book, How Women Must Write, Inventing the Russian Woman, Poet, Northwestern University Press, 2019. Olga Peters-Hasty, How Women Must Write, Inventing the Russian Woman, Poet, provides a behind-the-scenes look at Russia's cultural history, focusing on the women who sought to challenge the status quo. The development of an imagined figure of a Russian female poet is presented within the social, political, and cultural contexts of Russia. Hastie examines the climate in which Russia's women develop their own strategies as they face both the constraints and the opportunities for poetic self-presentation in the 19th and 20th century. This engaging analysis offers a thoughtful critique of the traditional hierarchies which affected Russia's largely masculine literary culture, as it uncovers the cultural dynamics that are crucial for our understanding of the fact that women poets were no mere parodists, but artists in their own right. This accessible volume addresses an essential topic of women poets' engagement with the gender norms of their time, which lead them to a place where they could shape their own artistic identity. Written by a literary scholar, this work presents its powerful arguments in a way that is accessible for a non-specialist. The transparency with which Hastie lays out the tools of literary analysis reinforces the profundity of her conclusions. Thus, the value of the work reaches beyond the field of Russian literary studies. So congratulations, Olga. Well done.
Thank you.
I believe you're here.
Lisa, I'm right below you. I'm right here.
Excellent. Okay. Oh, there you are, over to the left. Okay. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, I think like everybody else, I'm going to say a huge thank you. I feel honored, greatly honored by this prize, and I'm grateful to the committee for giving my book any attention at all, let alone such nice and warm and welcome attention. And the citation makes me want to read the book. But yes, thank you very much. And again, as we all know, anything we do, we have to thank so many people who are behind us, previous scholars, people who supported us either directly or indirectly as we worked on our manuscripts, and of course the press that published them. So there's so many people to thank and so much to look forward to. We have a long way to go and so many new exciting things to discover. And I'm very honored and pleased to be in your midst and to get this very prestigious prize. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to Katya, who worked very hard on that citation. So
that's wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Well, and there's your the book. Okay. So all right. The next prize is the Held Prize for Best Book by a Woman in Any Area of Slavic, East European, and Eurasian Studies. This is the largest category that we do award. Anyways, what we have is the winner is Jennifer Carroll, Narcomania, Drugs, HIV, and Citizenship in Ukraine, Cornell University Press, 2019. Jennifer Carroll's Narcomania is an important contribution to the study of Ukrainian social and political development and a testament to the power of ethnographic research to illuminate multiple interwoven meanings in a complicated social situation, drug addiction and its treatment in post-Soviet Ukraine. Carroll's book will become standard reading in qualitative and ethnographic methods classes. Beginning her research in 2007 and continuing on and off over the next decade, Carroll crafted a research project which examined drug use in Ukraine, its medication-assisted treatment regime, clinics, clients, and practitioners, and how non-governmental organizations like the Global Fund subverted local and governmental functions to pursue neoliberal agendas and set unrealistic expectations on the clinics in Ukraine's Ministry of Health. Yet this is more than a story of addicts and their treatment. As domestic and international conflict escalated in Ukraine, Carroll adapted the study's scope and premise to incorporate the events of the Euromaidan Revolution, the illegal annexation of Crimea by Russia, and the Russian-backed separatist insurgency in Donbass, to examine how Ukraine during the 2010s discursively excluded addicts' presence and claim to citizenship. By linking addiction, national identity, and state building, Carroll demonstrates how othering addicts by the state and its citizenry developed into a shared belief known as addiction imaginary, that the state needed to protect the nation from addicts. Especially illuminating is how Ukrainians deployed fear of addicts in the discourses around Euromaidan movement and the crises in Crimea and Donbass. As Michelle Rivkin-Fish, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill notes, exposing the moralized judgments, dodging drug users. Narcomania details the brutal modes of exclusion being deployed to redefine Ukraine's body politic. Jennifer Carroll both explains the origins and uses of this addiction imaginary, encounters it with a profoundly humanizing portrait of the lives and fates of Ukrainians who use drugs, end quote. Narcomania's intellectual scope and breadth and engagement with the field of medical anthropology, domestic and global health policy, ethnography, international relations, and contemporary national regional politics is why the prize committee picked it for this year's Health Prize for the best book by women in any area of Slavic, East European, and Eurasian studies. So congratulations, Jennifer. If you'd like to say a few words. There you are.
So very, very much. I've served on a book committee once in my life, and it was the most work I have ever done. And I include writing my dissertation on that list. So I want to give an enormous dose of gratitude to all the people who are on the committee. As was mentioned earlier, like I too am someone that lives in two worlds. In the Slavic and Ukrainian studies world, I'm always like the weird epidemiologist, and then over in the public health world, I'm like the weird one that speaks Ukrainian and keeps trying to tell jokes that no one understands. So it's extremely validating, again, to have this sort of recognition. And I think, I mentioned to someone in our breakout room that I was a harm reductionist a long time before I ever became an anthropologist or a scholar. And it was mentioned that the scope of the study changed partway through, and that's true, because Euromaidan was like super interesting and lots of interesting things were happening, but also it changed because all of my informants were dying. And they were dying as a direct result of like very, very, not just like, oh, poverty caught up and but like Putin made very express singular decisions that directly killed them. And then, coming back here after that research where our own opioid epidemic has picked up, I feel like I've spent the last 6 years just burying all of my friends. And so I really hope that if this recognition is able to do anything, it's possibly to use some of the geopolitics that's happening in Eastern Europe perhaps as a mirror to ourselves, because these are all deaths and harms that we have just created on our own. And even when we are chasing something as beautiful and necessary as autonomy and independence, there's still people who we benefit from letting die along the way. And they're really great people too. So I'm just really, really grateful. I was totally surprised. I kind of screamed in a Target parking lot when I got the email. It totally came out of nowhere. So just thank you all. This is incredibly kind and generous. And I think that this organization is extremely necessary. Having this validated by a group of women working in this field, I think is the greatest honor that I could have. So thank you so much.
And because this is always our largest category, we're awarding 2 honorable mentions, and they're alphabetical. Yelena Subotic, Yellow Star, Red Star, Holocaust Remembrance After Communism, Cornell University Press 2019. Yellow Star, Red Star is a unique and invaluable study of Holocaust memory and forgetting in post-socialist Europe. Rather than following the well-trodden paths of memory studies to focus on Poland or Russia and their problems with memory, Subotic offers an in-depth analysis of Serbian, Croatian, and Lithuanian discourses and policies. Her study shows how joining the European framework of memorialization primarily serves the creation of new national identities rather than indicate a true reckoning with local participation in the genocide and a recognition of its victims. Even scholars who are deeply engaged in related discussions can benefit from her detailed analysis of particular events and long-term trends, which makes a strong case for recognizing the troubling intertwinement of shaping Holocaust memory according to contemporary agendas on one hand, and the criminalization of the communist and anti-fascist past on the other hand. So congratulations, Yelena, and please feel free to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, that sounds like a really good book. I should read it. Thank you really for a wonderful summary. It's always amazing to hear other people, as you all know, you write a book and you don't know if anybody's going to read it or think about it, if you're going to just hear crickets or if it's going to get some traction, especially on a topic that was very difficult to write and had also kind of ethical and moral qualms about exploiting the Holocaust once again for academic purposes, but that's a whole other discussion. And I've written some articles on some of the process of writing this book. So I really want to thank you all. I also want to mention that I just remember that I also was awarded the Graduate Essay Prize in 2006. I had to look through my files and it was kind of amazing to think that this association was so generous to me for a completely different project. And I'm very happy to be part of it and very excited to meet everybody, and thank you again.
Great, thank you very much. The other honorable mention is Lenny Urena Valario for her work, Colonial Fantasies, Imperial Realities, Race, Science, and the Making of Polishness on the Fringes of the German Empire, 1840 to 1920, published by Ohio University Press, 2019. Colonial Fantasies, Imperial Realities is an extraordinary and innovative exploration of the transnational colonial history of the Prussian East and its entanglement with German imperialism in East Africa. This book is transnational in its truest sense. By drawing on sources from Germany, Poland, Brazil, and Argentina, Lorena Valaria delivers a multifaceted discussion of not only German imperialism and colonialism, but the colonized Poles' own ambitions of colonial acquisition and colonization. This original account and the expertly developed theoretical framework that fuels the analysis mark a new stage in scholars of East Europe's engagement with post-colonial studies. So Lenny, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that description. And I just want to say that I'm deeply honored to receive this recognition and being introduced to this organization. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who has supported my work and helped me come this far. And I want to thank the person who nominated me and the Health Award Committee for allowing me to be here tonight in such great company. And I also want to thank my press, Ohio University Press, especially the editors of the Polish Studies series, John Bukowski and Julia Berkowitz. And I want to thank them for taking on my project and helping me turn it into the book that it is today. I must say, I want to express here that I'm a full-time administrator, so working on this book project was very challenging, but at the same time, very gratifying. So I'm very grateful to everybody who helped me complete this project. And thank you all.
Thank you. I will take the reins now. Thank you, Melissa. And it is my great honor and pleasure to make the award for outstanding achievement, which this year goes to Esther Kingston Man. And let me read to you not the entire citation, which is quite detailed, that you can read on our website, but much of the citation I'll share with you. The Association for Women in Slavic Studies is pleased to announce that the recipient of our 2020 Outstanding Achievement Award is Esther Kingston Man. After earning her PhD at Johns Hopkins University in 1969, Kingston Man joined the history department at the University of Massachusetts at Boston, where she produced path-breaking scholarship work tirelessly to make her institution a more diverse and inclusive place and inspired successive generations of students. Kingston Man's foundational body of scholarship is empirically driven, meticulously researched, and elegantly written. She's been in the vanguard of research on Russian rural life with particular attention to gender, family, and economy. Her work brings the methods of social and economic history into dialogue with anthropology, philosophy, political theory, and literature to offer readers a panoramic view of the peasantry. Kingston Man has authored 3 monographs and edited 1 book on Russian history. The first of her books was Lenin and the Problems of Marxist Peasant Revolution, which was published in 1983. Her most recent book came out in 2017 and is called Women, Land Rights, and Rural Development. In addition to those books, she has also published several books on diversity and inclusion in higher education. She's edited 3 books on this topic, which is something that her colleagues in Slavic studies may not be aware of. These publications grew out of work begun in the classroom at UMB, but which expanded to encompass several significant administrative roles and research projects over the years. Kingston Man's commitment to diversity and inclusion was evident early on in her creation of UMB's first ever modern world history class, which challenged a Eurocentric curriculum. She later authored the university's first sexual harassment guidelines. In the early 1990s, she chaired a 2-year-long student, faculty, and staff diversity working group, which led to the establishment of a university-wide diversity curriculum requirement. From 1991 to 2000, Kingston Man served as director for the Center for Improvement of Teaching, securing a $750,000 Ford Foundation grant to fund and sustain the center's faculty seminars on diversity and inclusion. She also led a Ford Foundation-funded UMB-based diversity research initiative to foster research skills among undergraduate students. From 2003 to 2005, she served as the principal investigator on a Ford Foundation-supported effort to create the New England Center for Inclusive Teaching, Scholarship, and Curriculum Change, supporting faculty seminars based on UMB's Center for Improvement of Teaching model. The consortium drew together 7 New England colleges and universities. Also in 2003, Kingston Man received a Ford Foundation grant to create a Student Scholars Award program. Since 2005, this program has been known as the Kingston Man Awards for Student Excellence in Diversity, Inclusion, Scholarship, and embraces undergraduate students in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. This illustrious resume speaks to a profound concern with forging a fair and welcoming environment for students who, for a range of reasons, felt that the university classroom was not a place where they were welcomed or belonged. A testimonial from one of Kingston Man's students, now an associate professor of US history, illustrates how pedagogy of empathy animated Kingston Man as a teacher and a mentor. 35 years after sitting in Kingston Man's classroom, she writes that, quote, the biggest impact she had was in her ability to see an individual shy student among the crowd. Inviting the student far from home and a bit adrift to a holiday dinner at her house, Kingston Man's kindness demonstrated, in this former student's words, dedication to teaching, not just to convey information, but as a holistic vocation meant to shape and improve lives. Intellect and open-heartedness proved to be the secret ingredients to Kingston Man's efficacy on multiple fronts. Both Slavic studies and more broadly, the tertiary sector are better for having Esther Kingston Man in them. It is with gratitude that we recognize her accomplishments with the 2020 Outstanding Achievement Award. Esther, would you like to say a few words, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can't see you, but.
I will not tell you what happened to my computer as I tried to connect to you.
Oh, no. We have a lovely picture of you up on the screen, so.
Yeah, okay. I kept being told actually that the meeting hadn't started yet. But anyway, I'm glad to be with you. I'm delighted to receive this award, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity that it gave me to reflect not only on the incredibly long trajectory of my career, but also on the many extremely gifted people I encountered along the way who are no longer in the field. because they wrote about women, social class, peasantry, gentry, gender issues at a time when these topics were not considered appropriate for historical research. The writings of these people did not become the topics of symposia or research seminars. And certainly for myself, when I submitted my first book on Lenin to Oxford University Press, it was rejected 3 times. The 4th time, they forgot that they had rejected it and enthusiastically published it. So these are the travails, right, of moving into topics that are not the conventional ones that are accepted in the field. As a founding member of AWSS, I was glad to join the effort to legitimize and support colleagues and friends whose topics had not yet gained entry into the history books, and in a sense to make an academic home for all of us. To an extraordinary extent, AWSS did this for many of us, and by 2020, to many generations of us. In all of my writings, there are only 2 questions that I ever wanted to ask. The first was, who are the people that get to be part of the story a culture or institution tells of itself, and who does not? And secondly, how can I, as a scholar and teacher, help them to become part of the story? My first book on Lenin questioned why it was that urban-centered Marxist revolutions always seemed to take place in predominantly rural societies. When I began to read Lenin, one of the things that I noticed was that he ignored women, but equally important, that he ignored the data in most of the statistical studies that he cited. He ignored the communal institutions to which the majority of peasants belonged. I decided to research the statisticians that Lenin studied, and I discovered a hidden world of Russian rural life that it turned out was not static, that changed profoundly when historical circumstances changed, and on occasion engaging in commune-based innovation, and also playing a leading role in revolutions against a pogrom-crazed Tsarist regime. My second book, In Search of the True West, Western Models and Problems of Russian Rural Development, questioned why educated Russians and many Western scholars relied on women-free Western urban-centered economic models to explain rural Russia instead of focusing on the majority of the population. What I called a culture of modernization that first emerged in the 18th century, unfortunately convinced educated people all over the world that the West represented the model for all other nations, past and present. John Stuart Mill and Lenin agreed on this truth. I considered this to be a core historical fallacy. The follies of universalism became the center of my work as a scholar and teacher, and perhaps I was the only such person to write sarcastic articles about Russian Marxists with titles like "The Majority is an Obstacle to Progress." My most recent book is not so much an intellectual history, but at last a more empirical economic study of communes and women's garden plots that outproduced the Soviet-era collective farms, as well as the private farms of the post-Soviet era. I always wondered how it was that so many of us were taught that there were people in the world who never changed, despite radical changes in their economic, social, and political circumstances. As one of my favorite students once asked me, who does that? Except perhaps the American public in the year 2020. My most recent book examines rural women's economic behavior in a comparative historical perspective. And it turns out that during England's enclosure movement, people who worked common lands engaged in rural innovation, that women were the primary commons users, and that women possessed garden plots that have still not been widely researched. In 20th century pre-colonial and colonial Kenya, women also had gardens of their own and frequently engaged in collective cultivation and innovation to ensure that no one family monopolized the best land. Their economic efforts have still not been widely studied. So many crucial gaps to fill, and still so many silos. So I guess my question or my hope is, how can we work harder to become a force for creating and extending fields of study, for building research communities among ourselves where everybody counts, in theory and in practice? This is a pretty big challenge.
Thank you, Esther. Please, everybody, can I ask you maybe to unmute yourselves and let's hear a round of applause for all of our winners.
Oh, excellent.
Indeed, yes. Melissa, can I ask you to share the screen that had share the slide that had the list of everyone who served on a committee?
Because no, I shut down my PowerPoint. So go ahead, talk about something else and I'll get it up. So.
Okay. Let me note that I had the pleasure to conduct an interview with Esther, which will be up on our website soon, in which she talks about the trajectory of her career and her relationship to AWSS as a founding mother. I also want to encourage you, if you don't already follow us on Facebook or Twitter, please be sure to do that. You can also sign up for our listserv. And if you go to our website, there are instructions for how to do that. I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who has served on the board this year. It's been a hard year for everyone, and I really appreciate the time that people have been able to carve out to do that. And I would like to thank all the people who are listed here who served as award committee members, because it is it's a very rewarding way to give service to the profession, but it is a huge time commitment. And but it's very exciting to see all the great work that's being done in the field. And I say, with the gauntlet put down by the art historians, the rest of us really have to lift our game. So I look forward to seeing what the list of prize winners looks like next year. And now we come.
Paula, can I just say one thing? We live in this amazing world now where all of your talks that you're giving right across the world from your living rooms, if you guys would be so kind to post those to both our Twitter account and to our Facebook account, we would really appreciate it. It's a really great way. I've listened to some really great talks in the last 6 months because of that. So all you award winners, I think you all are giving talks someplace in different places. So please, get those up, as well as everybody else who, is going to be giving a talk based on their research. Please publicize it, let us know. We'll show up. All right. If you get it up. So thank you.
Melissa, can I just jump in with one last thing? I was so glad to hear the descriptions of the research by the other prize winners, because in a way, they were the response to the beginning of my talk about how many people did not make it along the way. And clearly all of these people have. So I'm really it's wonderful to hear it.
Yes. And I echo Melissa's suggestion. Let us help us to help you amplify your work, whether you're one of our prize winners this year or a member. We are here to help raise the profile of gender studies and of women working in this field. And we will retweet you. We will give you shout outs. But we need to know that you're doing that work.